How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to TheBlueShifting, and welcome back to Chaos Head. So, I gotta give a heads up here. In the timeline order of, like, the way things have happened, I just did the live stream for the wrap party of Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky 2nd Chapter. We just announced that we're starting Yakuza Kiwami, which should have aired, the first episode should have aired the day previous of this uploading. So, if you like Yakuza, I hope you'll join me for that. It should be a very fun time. Already enjoying myself. But, unfortunately, if you recall, I've been sick lately, and it sucks because it's like, it's never just one thing, right? It's always another. So I had like a week of just insane migraines and really bad fatigue. I'm finally feeling a lot better on that front. Like, I'm feeling energized. I'm feeling physically more capable. But now my throat is deciding to close up. It was like a little scratchy when I did the live stream, and then by the end of the live stream, it was like full on like painful. So I had to decide, basically, do I just let my voice rest and just not do Chaos Head this week, or do I just record one real fast, doing the best I can, maybe keep it shorter than usual, and then hope that I can recover for the next week until next Saturday. So I've opted for option 2. So, with a little help of a cough drop or two, which might make my talking a little funny, or like random coughing that you're just probably going to have to deal with because there's not a whole lot I can do about that, we're going to go ahead and go through with this. So, like I said, right there, it's probably going to be a shorter episode just because it's going to depend on how much I'm going to have to read and also just how I'm feeling in general. But I want to get something recorded out. I'd like to be able to publish this because I want to be back in the swing of things, and I'm glad we got as much done as we did, and I really think that give me like 4 days of like recovery, and I bet you my voice will come right back, so I'm just going to push through a little bit, and then, if I have to delay some stuff next week, well, I'll deal with that then. So, for now, let's just jump right into it. There's not a whole lot to say. We had a cool scene with Senna in the park where she is like confronting and apparently is directly opposing at least Nozomi, the company, which gave a device to like a random guy that was able to essentially kind of brainwash a whole bunch of people, put them in a park all muttering, "Whose eyes are those eyes?" And then when she destroyed the machine, they all panicked and were really confused and scared, which is terrifying because it's like, oh, this thing's like mind controlling people. It's changing their perspectives to the point where they're no longer in control of their own faculties. That's terrifying. So, yeah, I don't know if we're going to see much about that today, but it's kind of setting the precedent up. Again, it reminds me of Steins Gate. I mean, it's cheap to go there, but it does remind me of the fight between Okarin and his team having to fight against the organization. It's feeling like it's going to be a similar thing where it's going to be us and these people who have found D-swords or who are at least like capable of having like pulling reality delusions into reality and vice versa, who are going to be resisting or maybe being asked to join with Nozomi. So that'll be interesting. But for now, we're kind of partnering up with Rimi, and she is traveling with us, keeping us safe and being a partner, because we're so scared about the things that are going on. And she's being very sweet. I'm a little suspicious of her. I like how sweet she is. It's very nice and pleasant to be around, but it's like too pleasant, and it's making me like, It's like, I don't know. So we'll see what happens. But I think I'm getting the feeling we're towards the end of this chapter, and probably we'll start the next chapter. Because it's hard to gauge sometimes, but my gut is telling me that we maybe had 5 to 10 minutes left of this chapter. Because there were some, like, at the ends and beginnings of chapters is when it tends to flash back and forth between different perspectives. And it was doing that last episode after Senna, and then we had like a Nozomi talking about like blind spots that people have in their vision. And then I think we're going to have something here that's going to be a hook to get us into the next chapter, which is the pattern. But I wasn't sure, so that's why I didn't continue last time. Anyway, I'm already talking too much. I'm sorry. Thank you for dealing with that. Let's jump into it. Suime Academy was in the high-end residential area of Shoto. Every house was huge, and the whole area just oozed with an air of success and affluence. Despite this being Shibuya and still daytime, at that, there were hardly any people around. It gave the area of this forlorn, lonesome air.
Taku って
Yeah?
意外とモテるよね。
That has been a little weird lately, but I don't know why. I nearly died just then. What the heck was she talking about?
あれ？自覚ない？
With a chuckle, Rimi shot her index finger toward the tip of my nose. Don't point at people, it's rude, gosh darn it.
だってこの前は、メガネかけた3年生の綺麗な人と一緒だったし。
Oh, Yua.
あれは。
うん、昨日聞いた。タクに意地悪する人だよね。
I guess that's a way to interpret it. If you knew that, then why are you...
で、今日はあのフェスと話してた。
Right. So she knows that that's Fez. I guess most people probably would.
あと、折原さん。転校してきた朝に、真っ先にタクに声をかけてたよね。
That was very weird. But I remember what she said. She said, like, I'm glad you're in my class. Like, how? How did she know us?
さらに、今こうして私と一緒に帰ってる。ほら、モテモテだ。
Oh, no. Your normie life started and you didn't even know it. Actually, I had been thinking about that recently. Has my life as normie begun? Are my popular times finally here? Stuff like that. Something that would have been absolutely unthinkable for me a month ago. Back then, I'd never had the chance to even talk to 3D girls, excluding Nanami. I always boasted about not being into 3D girls, but that was just to make myself look cool and indifferent. Well, we all knew that. So Rimi was definitely onto something. Why had my encounters with girls increased with such frequency lately? It all kicked off after that chat with Shogun. A scary thought suddenly crossed my mind. What if every single event in the past month had all been a delusion? What if I'd just been having a really, really long dream? Aw, that sucks. Can you imagine? It's like, isn't that the whole, like, kind of ultimate conundrum of, like, what was it called? Not Interstellar, that's a different one, but it's the same vibe. It's like Inception. Like, where they go within dreams and, like, try and change things. It's like, they have to have, like, a little totem, something that helps them stay grounded in reality. So something that only they know has, like, defects that aren't obvious and will behave in ways that are, like, maybe a certain unusuality to them. And you're supposed to use that to help yourself recognize if you're in a dream or not. It's like, what if that's his whole life? Like, he just doesn't know if he's in a dream or not. Considering how insane everything was, I didn't think I'd be all that surprised if everything went right back to normal tomorrow. Or maybe the person controlling me had swapped out with someone else. Maybe the previous one was happy just watching me go through the motions, but the new one preferred to interact with other characters. Or something like that. Either way, the past month didn't feel entirely real to me. Way too many things have been happening.
っていうか、私今日初めて知ったんだけど、フェスって同じ学校だったんだね。
Yeah.
しかも同学年の隣のクラス。
Rimi's voice was overflowing with excitement. I guess Rimi was quite the trend chaser.
昨日タクから CD 借りたばっかりだから、すごくびっくりしちゃった。それに、すごく可愛い子だし。
Okay. Rimi circled about in front of me. While still facing me, she began to walk backward. Her voice got all quiet, and then she asked me a question timidly. Are you gonna actually ask us, do you think she's cute?
何話してたの？
Oh no. Is Rimi the possessive type? Like, it's hinted that she might kind of have a crush on us, and I'm not convinced that Rimi's real. Like, if there's anyone who's a delusion in our life, it's Rimi. Like, there's just too many weird things about her. Like how she didn't seem to exist until recently. I also think our, like, guy friend in class might also be a delusion. It would explain a lot if both of them were, especially when they can kind of collude, because, like, the best force of grounding for them is the fact that the two of them talk to each other and recognize each other. But if they're just enforcing each other's delusions, when they seem to talk to other people, like, they might not actually be. It might be just us thinking they are. So it's very possible that Rimi and whatever his name is are both fake. But, like, even so, like, she's being so, like, possessive here, which is really weird.
今朝、フェス、岸本さんと聞かせてほしいな。
Okay.
私には聞く権利なんてないかもって思うけど。でも、岸本さんと話してた時のタク、すごく思い詰めた様子だったから、なんだか心配で。
Okay. She'd seen completely through me. I guess it wouldn't be a bad idea to tell her everything. It wasn't like I had other people to talk to about it, plus agonizing over it on my own had gotten pretty exhausting. That's actually the thing, like, when you talk about social engineering, you talk about seeking weaknesses for gathering information or like stuff like that. Like, it goes into the line of like espionage and being able to harvest information. It can be like as straightforward as doing things like getting information that can get you past security questions from a bank, so you can get access to funds. It can be about learning about patterns to be able to find a weakness in a security gap that you might be able to get them past if someone wants to commit like a corporate espionage and they know you have access to a building, or just in general just wanting to manipulate people, finding people who feel isolated and alone and making them feel like you're the only person who cares, and then using that connection to kind of convince them that they should be knowing certain information is a really, unfortunately, powerful tactic. And that's the troublesome thing here is like, she might be really concerned. She might be a delusion who technically would already know because she's a delusion, or she's fishing for information for some reason. I'd appreciate another perspective. Not from someone who spoke to nothing but vague, ambiguous bullcrap like ISA and Senna, but from someone that would with actual concrete answers to my concerns. But when we talked yesterday, she hadn't believed me at all.
話してたのは、剣のこと。
剣って、昨日タクが言ってたやつ。
Mm-hmm. I nodded.
綾瀬は持ってるんだ。
何を？
本物を。
I wasn't completely sure, but I thought I heard Rimi taking a large breath. Yeah, she's like, oh, crap. She staggered with her eyes open wide, and then after taking a few steps back,
嘘だ。
she shouted with a clearly skeptical voice.
だってあれ、おもちゃでしょ？
だから、僕のはおもちゃだけど、彼女のは本物で、ライブ行けば見られ。
I quickly realized what I was saying and cut myself off. Would she even be able to see it? I mean, ISA had mentioned that only people with powers could see D swords.
ライブに行けば、その本物の剣を見られるの？じゃあ、今度行ってみようかな。ファンタズムのライブそのものも見たいし。あ、タク、一緒に行く？
見られないかも。限られた人にしか見えないらしいんだ。
そうなんだ。裸の王様みたいなものかな？
No, that's a delusion.
じゃあ、私バカだから見えないかも。なんてね。
Yeah, see, no. She's laying it on too thick. There's definitely more to her than meets the eye. It's either she's a delusion or she's real, but very dangerous. Actually, that was a good point. Come to think of it, I didn't know anything about what exactly a real D-sword was, nor how they worked. I'd just been accepting everything ISA said without question.
そんな剣、本当にあるのかな？やっぱり私、信じられないよ。タクが見たっていう岸本さんの剣も、本物っぽく見えるおもちゃじゃないの？
でも光ったし。
おもちゃでも光るやつはいくらでもあるよ。
I think she's purposely like trying to make him think it's fake. But remember, like these delusions, it's all about like the amount of oomph you give them, how much you like manifest them to believe in them. So by trying to like make him think of it as just like a toy or a game, it actually might be a way to try and prevent him from grabbing his own D-sword, from discovering and pushing these powers that he has. Well, she wasn't wrong. If you wanted something to glow, you could easily slap some lights onto it. But when I thought of the overwhelming sense of presence Senna and ISA swords had, their existence became hard to deny. They had an aura about them, no mere toy should have been capable of. And most of all, ISA had taken the sword out of thin air. I'd seen it with my own eyes. It wasn't anything simple like hypnosis or super speed. On top of that, it felt as if I'd only gotten to experience the tip of the iceberg.
僕には妄想を現実に投影する力があるかも。
I had no definitive proof, but I tried throwing my thoughts at Rimi regardless.
だから、将軍に、狙われてる気がする。
That was the only possible reason he'd be targeting me. There was nobody more harmless than I was. Otakus were fundamentally harmless beings. We did shut ourselves away in our own little worlds, after all. If we had time to bother the Desinins of the third dimension, we'd rather spend that in our heads flirting with adorable moe characters.
昨日調べてた特許のこと？タクはあんな装置持ってるの？
I shook my head.
そうじゃなくて、装置とかなくても力使えるかも。
タクからかってるんでしょ？わかった。何かの漫画かアニメが元ネタ？
Just as I'd feared, she didn't believe me. But I knew I'd experienced what I was talking about before with that accident back in elementary school. I tried desperately to explain that to Rimi. That I might have been a murderer. I knew Rimi might abandon me if I confessed that to her, but I couldn't hide it anymore. I wanted to tell someone. If I did, I could clear the uncertainty in my mind even just a little bit. Rimi listened to my shaky explanation with a troubled look on her face, remaining silent the entire time after I finished talking.
考えすぎだよ。
She nonchalantly laughed the whole thing off.
そう考えてることだってタクの妄想なんだよ。わかってる？
Was I really overthinking it? It was a nice thought. But even with that theory, the uncertainty in the depths of my mind hadn't been cleared at all. The smell of dust wafted through the office. An office situated on the second floor of a somewhat old building. Sunlight streamed through the window covering the back wall, turning the fluttering dust into that of a thin, powdery snow. The words plastered on the window, Frisia Credit Bureau, cast a shadow on the nearby desk. 20 desks were lined up across the floor, with not even a hint of a gap between them, each one drowning in an endless sea of documents, paperwork, and files, piles stacked so high they looked to be on the verge of collapsing. Sorry. From an outsider's perspective, it looked far more like a publishing company than a credit bureau. Most of the desks lacked denizens. There were only 5 or 6 people at best. As for why that was, the obvious conclusion would be that this was Saturday, but that was by no means the answer. This was made evident by the whiteboard stuck to the wall near the entrance, its schedule densely packed with tasks and projects. Nearing the end of his lunch break, Ban Yusuji opened the door to the private investigation company. He entered without so much as a knock, yet none of the workers seemed to bat an eye. Continuing to act as if he belonged there, Ban gave a quick "how's it going" and headed toward the desk at the back of the room, and there sat a robust-looking woman hunched over her laptop.
Oh, Momo-chan, genki?
Oh my gosh. In response, the woman continued to stare at her monitor with a weary expression. Her name was Momose Katsuko, and she was the president of Frisia.
バンちゃん、また来たの？
また来ましたよっと。ニュージェネについての新ネタない？
たく、私は忙しいのよ。抱えてる案件がごまってあるの。うちみたいな零細企業は土日返上で仕事しなくちゃいけないの。わかる？
Momosa finally raised her head. She placed a hand on her forehead, and upon seeing Ban's grinning face, lightly shook her head.
ここは警察の秘密組織でも子会社でもないって何度も言ってるでしょうに。
No, it's not. But the thing is, like, when it comes to finances, that actually, like, money talks, money trails, like, and what is it, like, it's said in the movie V for Vendetta, but it's so true. It's like, if you want to find accurate records, follow tax records. They'll be the most accurate you could ever find.
ただで情報もらえるなんて虫のいいこと考えてるんだろうけど、ここに来てる暇があるなら自分の足で何とかなさいな、公務員さん。または依頼料を払うこと。予約表はみおちゃんにもらってちょうだい。
相変わらず冷てえ社長だな、おい。
In spite of Momose's sharp remarks, Ban didn't show a hint of concern. He simply fanned himself with a distinctive handheld fan, remaining aloof as could be.
この会社立ち上げるときにはあんなに協力してやったのによ。
あら、ワンちゃんも恩着せがましい人だわね。何年同じこと言い続ければ気が済むわけ？
Yeah.
まあ言ってねこれ。じゃあ依頼料はこいつでどうかな。
Ban slowly pulled out a plastic bag with the name of a nearby Japanese-style confectionery store on it.
なんだ、あるなら最初から出してよ。いつも悪いわね。みおちゃん、お茶2つ持ってきて。
Her attitude having undergone a swift and stark change, Momose closely examined the contents of the bag Ban had handed to her.
あら、栗羊羹、今が旬なのよね。わかってるじゃない。バンちゃん、そんなところに突っ立ってないで座って。
どうも。
Ban gave a wry smile, took out a chair from the closest desk, and seated himself behind Momose. Interesting. You know, it's kind of funny because, like, a lot of times, like, they don't do depictions of people of different sizes and shapes. Usually everyone's attractive in games, in visual novels especially, so it's kind of nice to see that there's just variety in this game. The clerical lady Momose had called before brought over 2 steaming cups of tea.
んで、なんか新ネタあるかい？
ちょっと待ちなさいって。
Momose carefully unwrapped the chestnut yokan, folded in the wrapper, and set it beside her PC. She then hurriedly devoured the first of the sweet treats. Japanese-style treats were her greatest weakness. They were a necessary offering for Ban to bring every time he came for information.
おいしいわ、これ。
Oh my gosh, lady, calm down.
人に言えた義理じゃないけどよ。ちったダイエットしたらどうだい？
Oh my gosh, Ban.
でないといつまで経っても結婚できないぜ。
Sheesh.
本当に人に言えた義理じゃないわね。
See, she's got you there.
私はもうとっくに今期は逃したわよ。
With a shrug of her shoulders, Momose took a sip from her tea and then turned to face Ban.
また新しいニュージェネ事件起きたわね。こんなところでサボってていいの？
そっちの調査は俺以外の全員が真剣に取り組んでるさ。俺は別のアプローチから真実に迫ってやるってね。
かっこつけちゃって似合わないわよ。
Knowing himself to be quite sensitive to hot drinks, Ban showed no hint of reaching for his cup. He simply continued to fan his face in spite of the already chilly air. It was something of a habit of his. Ooh.
警察は G レートの線追ってるの？
That's interesting. Look at the style here. It's such a different change. They made the whole scene specifically right here. Why? Why would they draw this much attention to a scene where he's just trying to gather basic information? Something big's happening here.
そうそう。G レートね。
GE
これ
rate.
すごいな。ももちゃんの話の通りだったぜ。
私が嘘の情報を渡すわけないでしょうに。これでおまんま食べてるんだから。それで？
まあ勝手に調べてるよ。
勝手にって。ちょっとバンちゃん！
Momose's voice carried well. Her personality was intrinsically energetic, leading her voice quite a bit of volume. The workers of Frisia were used to this, not even batting an eye to her angry voice reverberated throughout the office. The boss's yelling was an everyday occurrence after all. Ban and Momose were old friends, so he was all too familiar with being on the receiving end of it. Thus, much to her chagrin, Momose's wrath was met only with him lazily picking at his ear. Before she said anything else, Momose quickly lowered her voice, for this was a topic she did not want met with prying ears. But her face was red with anger as if she had not been cheerfully stuffing herself with sweets just moments before. She pointed her finger at Ban with a tremendous intensity.
個人で追うのは危険だって言ったじゃない。政治に宗教に企業、どれだけ根深く関与してると思ってるの？
Oh, okay. So GE is an organization.
この間テレビで G レートの講義をやった太田教授がどうなったか、あんたもよく知ってるでしょ。
Oh, Professor. Oh, so no, the GE was the magnetism thing he was looking at, and Professor Oda vanished, huh?
ああ。貼り付けで殺された被害者。
Oh, fetch.
何度も聞いた。
Oh no, that does sound intrinsically tied then.
何度でも言ってやるわ。ええ、言ってやりますとも。あんたはいつも私の忠告を無視するんだから。 それでいつも尻拭いさせられるのは私なんてたまったもんじゃないわ。
まあまあ、そうがなるなって。茶でも飲んで落ち着いたら。
Ignoring both Ban and her tea, Momose tossed a second chestnut yokan into her mouth in a huff.
大丈夫だって。一応諏訪と一緒に動いてるんで。今はまだ G レートやらなんやらってのは突飛すぎて上を説得できねえなよ。
諏訪ちゃんは確かに有能だししっかりしているけど、無理させたら承知しないわよ。
ももちゃんはいつから諏訪の保護者になったんだ？
バンちゃんの無謀な行動に未来ある若者が巻き込まれるのはかわいそうでしょうに。
Nice. She's a very like clever, thoughtful, and like meticulous person. I like her.
ああ、そうかい。
With a shrug of resignation, Ban took a testing sip of his tea, only to immediately grimace. It was still too hot.
しかし、バイオリズムが人を殺す凶器になるなんてこと、本当にありえるのかね？
前に説明したでしょうに。
実はいまいち理解しきれてねえんだわ。
So they're probably going to operate off of like the very unfundamental understanding we have of like creatures like birds. Birds are born with a natural instinct and capability to kind of be sensitive to the magnetic poles, and it helps guide them when they go north and south for the like spring and fall, migrations. We don't know 100% if that's true. It just seems that way because you can take birds and translocate them to a completely different place where like all the landmarks are different and everything's like changed up, and yet they're still able to navigate smoothly to the right in the right direction when they need to migrate. And so maybe they're going to go off to the argument that like humans are also sensitive to electromagnetic waves and spectrums and magnetic pulses, and that by being close to these types of sources, it can influence our minds, make us see things, or make delusions seem more real. And since we're in a world where delusions can become reality, people who are already fairly delusional get enhanced, and it can start breaking those barriers, maybe.
それってももちゃんお得意の電磁波と関係してるのか？
Momose let out a sigh, then, in contrast to Ban, composedly sipped at her tea.
満月の夜の事件簿はよく知ってるでしょ？
Right.
まあな。
Like I said, the best theory I know for that is that when the full moon comes out, people are more active because it's easier to see at night, so people go outside and spend more time doing things. They're not as afraid, so they're willing to go and push themselves farther. A vast influx of incidents and accidents would always occur the night of the full moon. It was no urban legend either. One needed only glance at Tokyo Metropolitan Police statistical records.
その満月以上の力でバイオリズムカーブが上昇したらどうなると思う？
興奮するってことだろ？
それだけ？渋谷は特殊な街なのよ。言ったでしょ？ G レートが高ければバイオリズムカーブは上昇する。しかもその上昇値は満月の夜に影響する数値のおよそ6800倍。
Fetch me. That's a very specific 6,800 times.
なんとも想像しにくい数字だな。
比べ物にならないくらいすごいって考えとけばいいわ。
しかし、なんで今なんだい？
殺された太田教授が言っていたのは G レートが半年前から急に増加しているせいってことね。地層の構造に大きな変化が起きない限りそんなことはありえないそうだけど。
Okay.
変化ね。
そう。駅前のスクランブル交差点で火山が噴火するほどのエネルギーが必要なの。
火山？そんなに大きな力なのか？
それくらい今の G レートはありえない状況なのよ。
それを世間に訴えようとした教授はニュージェネで殺された。
Yeah.
事件の前日に教授が出演する予定だったテレビ番組が急遽放送中止になった話知ってる？
Right.
確かか。
知り合いに NHK に勤めている人がいて聞かされたの。
国営放送の番組に圧力かけられる立場なんてそうそうないぜ。
It does, but it also means it is more dangerous too. If there is a conspiracy connection here, which it really feels like, whoever you're dealing with has the power to influence the highest echelons of authority. That should be terrifying.
私も詳細についてはわからないわ。知ってたらとっくに告発してるだろうし。
Van leaned forward, intrigued.
俺でも大体予想はつくさ。この際、はっきり言っちゃってよ。
本気で聞きたい？社会の暗部に踏み込むことになるわよ。いいの？パンちゃん、クビになるかもしれない。
Yeah, there's a good chance if he pokes the wrong like spots, he is gonna just get fired.
俺はニュージェネ事件の犯人さえ捕まえられりゃそれでいいんだけどね。ま、どうするかは答えを聞いてから考えるわ。
Stopping her tea, Momose tapped away at her laptop keyboard with her free hand. Displayed on the screen was a single document. It contained a list of information Momose had personally looked into.
名和と
ももちゃん、勘弁してくれ。俺はてっきり野党の名前が出てくると思ってたんだがな。よりによって。
Alright, let's see what that was. The Meiwa Party, one of two major political parties in Japan, but fictional. 4 years ago, the Meiwa Party was an opposition party, but that changed following a major breakthrough in the general election that year. Its catchphrase is, a brighter peace for the people, and the two kanji used in its name, Mei and Wa, ring bright and peace respectively. Ben groaned in utter exasperation. Yet, despite his smile, his eyes showed not even a hint of one. All they housed now was a cold, discerning gaze of a detective.
下手したらこの国が揺らぐぜ。
Interesting. So it'd be like a major political party being directly involved in a conspiracy like this. Since it was the weekend, I'd been unable to get Rimi to come over, so I was forced to spend 2 very anxious days all by myself. I had Rimi pick up some groceries on Friday so I could survive the weekend without leaving my base, but I'd come very close to sending her a text asking her to come over multiple times. But in the end, I hadn't sent anything. The only thing that gave me a break from the anxiety was the half hour I spent watching the latest episode of Bloodtoon. Even in extreme circumstances such as this one, I still had to make sure I could stay up to date on Bloodtoon. Rimi was my sole source of comfort in these 3 dimensions, but when it came to the second one, Bloodtoon was the one that fulfilled that role. Well, to be more specific, Sierra Tan was. There she is. There she is. After I'd finally overcome the weekend, Monday came. I took a peek at Ferapara's Phantasm section only to find it in a state of complete disarray. Wasting no time, I immediately followed a link taking me to @channel. It was a total crap show. Let's see. Fez of Phantasm's real name is Kashimoto. Oh, she's being doxxed. When she was younger, she was hospitalized for mental illness reasons. The name of the hospital is AHM. Cool story, bro. Too bad it's total BS. Deets, please. Phantasm is over. Whose eyes are those eyes? Lol. Who the fetch is Fez? You serious? Lol. AHM only meant for patients with severe mental disorders. For your info. For Fetch's sake, more haters? What poor attempt at bait? If you're gonna bother making a thread like this, at least include a source. Fail. This is such bullcrap. Fez has never been into that dumb hospital. How do you even sleep at night spreading such obvious slander? I've never heard of AHM before. Stop making crap up. The one watching you was I, Fez. Strike the stake right into these dummies spouting BS. The next NewGen victim's gonna be one of you. Someone such as claim was legit. Fez was hospitalized for a very long period of time for mental health reasons. The hospital publishes a free newspaper in which a section of drawings, essays, poems, and other works done by patients are shown. Her song lyrics can be found there. You can find all this at the hospital's website. Div craps. Her full name is Kashimoto, like the full thing. Finally. For a link. Is that seriously all it takes for you guys to abandon her? Well, that's fine by me. Just means I've got fewer rivals now. Fast time will be mine. See you at the wedding. Finally, again, like these people are saying, like, oh, look, there's actual links here. I actually gotta wonder. Before, a website that was referenced in the side adventure game turned out to be real. it's kind of dangerous because you never know if somebody else has taken it over and done something to it. Oh, that's funny. All right. So, that's hilarious. Who thought? You're clever, whoever you did, because that link is a hyperlink now, and it directs to someone's Let's Play of chaosheadnoah. Came out 7 months ago. Wolfborg VOD Archive. So Wolfborg probably is a streamer, because VOD archives usually are for people who do streams. Interesting. I wonder, that doesn't seem like something a creator would do. Perhaps it was done by a fan, or I'm just really crazy here. I'm gonna do another attempt just to see. But yep, I mean, they're uploading consistently. Looks like they have kind of a consistent uploads going. And I'm guessing, again, it's like they have their Twitch channel and then they're posting to YouTube. And it goes to the YouTube channel for some reason. Yeah, it goes right to that. So like, yeah, somehow someone was clever enough to link a Let's Play series to that account from YouTube. That's really funny. And like, again, clever. I know like conceptually how that would work, but it's interesting that someone went to the trouble of doing that. Anyway, is that seriously what it takes? Yeah, it's actually true. What the fetch? Lol. Yes. Heck yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. I declare flame war. There's even pictures. I'm gonna pee myself laughing. Notice of Phantasm's termination. Is Phantasm gonna disband because of this? I used to like Fez quite a bit sexually. Oh, I'm sure you did, buddy. Yes. It must be someone's guidance too. This must be someone's guidance too, Lamau. The verses aren't used in Phantasm songs, are they? The one watching you was I, Kashimoto Ayase. Don't quit, Fez. I'm seriously gonna cry. I think I sort of understand it. They say there's a fine line between genius and insanity, after all. Band breakup flag for the win. Tonight, the black mask cometh. Lolly Fez tan. Fap fap. Oh, cool. Great. You are just wholesome ever. Well, that sets Phantasm's fate in stone. FWIW. I have no idea what that means. I guess this is a more fitting end to them than going mainstream. Any comment from Fez yet on the official website? Doesn't matter how much noise you virgins make on here, Fez doesn't look at the past, only the future. Can't wait for her next prophecy predicting all your deaths. Be right back putting on my roller skates. These people. I would hate being... Again, look, it's actually like defying Lolly, a young girl with childlike appearance. Okay, what's the problem though? This reeks of some weird advertising scheme by Phantasm. Desperate to keep your dead band alive much? Lol. They don't. It was always obvious that Fez is a total schizo. Why is everyone acting like this is a surprise at all? Got so true to like how actual internet discourse happens. It's terrifying. So Fez always was mentally ill. But that's what's good about her. Calm down, everyone. It's all just a magnificent bait from Fez-tan. Fez's spirit collapsed because the world is full of ill will. The power awoke the punk part of her soul. Those keen, aggressive lyrics are the cry for a sublimated soul. We, on the contrary, should celebrate the facts bared by so-and-so as holy grace. The website's down. Are they trying to bail? I followed the URL. 12 it sent. It's the link here. Yeah, so in here it goes to this actual page. Apparently, Arkheart Medical was an old-school psychiatric facility that only treated severe cases of mental illness, or at least that's what the website said. The website had pictures from the place, and frankly, it looked like the straight-up penitentiary. There were iron bars on every single window. I wasn't even sure if it was still open or not. The homepage hadn't been updated for 4 years or so. But just as the poster on that channel had said, beneath a certain poem was the name and photo of a young Ayase.
綾瀬が精神病
Let's see, the shadows of wicked heart lurks within that body, a presence the eye cannot perceive. Even if I try to split asunder, perpetual nightmares alas take shape and eventually become a sword. One that will tear this body apart. Should they bear this shield of apathy, ye souls shall escape the flames of war. On a battlefield reborn, come foes with malice in their hearts, I'll will without compare. When that time comes, malice shall possess its own will and thus reveal its true form. It wasn't that it was shocking to me or anything like that. After all, I'd regularly gone to a mental hospital too back when I was in elementary school, so really I felt sympathy for her. Ayase and I were the same. She had the bewitching aura to her, and every person my age in Shibuya thought she was so charismatic, but despite how different that made us, in this one way we were the same. The fact that we had that in common reinforced my hypothesis that I had the same power as she did, the power to project delusions into reality. It wouldn't be wrong to say that it gave me some courage, maybe even strength. Though, there was one problem. Up until now, I had taken everything Ayase had said at face value, but that might have been a mistake. Things about how to acquire a D-sword, things about how getting my hands on one could save me. It wasn't the phenomena she showed me that was making me doubt her, but the words she'd said. I wasn't sure whether or not to believe her. Maybe... The sudden ringing in my phone startled me. You could always count on them to take you by surprise. I nearly pissed myself. It's also odd that it's like timed this well. That was why I hated these things. The loud ringing refused to stop, so I clicked my tongue and grabbed it. It was probably not me calling me. She was probably just calling me to be about whatever random bullcrap was bothering her. Kill me now. Annoyed as I could be, I pressed the accept call button and held the phone to my ear without checking who was calling. I had no idea why I did that. After everything that had been through, why the heck had I not checked the caller's number? Oh no, it's the song again. What came from the other side of the line was a certain melody playing loudly. You may pass. I frantically checked the number on the display. Same one. I knew I should have checked. It was them, but how? I'd said it wasn't in use anymore. When I'd had Nanami call the number to check, no one notice played. Maybe the prankster had reactivated it?
どうしよう。
Panicking, I turned toward the center of the room. Surely Rimi would be there, ready to give me some advice. But she obviously wasn't. Of course she wasn't. Rimi was at school right now, in the middle of class. I'd told her in advance I wouldn't go to school today, so she hadn't come to pick me up. As I freaked out trying to figure out what the heck to do, You May Pass kept on playing from my phone. A whole minute had already passed. From the small amount I'd listened to earlier, I could tell there weren't any other sounds mixed in with the song. The few things I could make out were the sounds of car engines and people walking. Whoever's calling me, they had to be outdoors. But who the heck would calling me? Could only think of one person that would pull a prank like that. Shogun. Now really freaking out, I looked at Sarah Tan, who was standing next to my PC screen.
どうしたらいいと思う、セラ。
Sarah Tan smiled at me, just as she always did.
切っちゃえばいいさ。無視無視。
Yeah, I'm sure.
そっか。そうだよね。その手があった。
I should have done that from the beginning. I put my thumb on the button to end the call. But for some reason, before hanging up, I felt an undeniable urge to listen to You May Pass just one more time, just for a little bit longer. It felt strange, even to me. It creeped me out. There was no reason I should be hesitating even remotely, and yet, I almost subconsciously gripped my phone and brought it to my ear. What the fetch? It came surging out of the phone. A fierce pain. A violent, piercing, nearly ultrasonic noise. That sound shot through my entire body. It was as if lightning had struck my head. My entire body was paralyzed. I screamed as loud as I could, yet I couldn't hear my own voice. Boiling. My brain. My heart. They boiled, they bubbled, they melted into mush. Pain crawled from deep within my body, tearing me apart. My consciousness liquefied and coursed through my veins, and when it finally arrived at my heart, it erupted in a resounding explosion, then vanished. Overwhelmed by these horrific sensations, I was unable to figure out what was going on. I could no longer even think. That's really bad. What? No. When Kusunoki Yua slowly opened her eyes, she saw her class 3B, enveloped in pure chaos. Several students had collapsed. Their eyes had rolled back into their heads, foaming bubbles at their mouths, and the entire bodies convulsed. Oh my gosh, it was like an auditory attack. Another group of students were crouched low to the floor, cowering, pressing down on their heads in pain. The students that remained shot up from their seats and made straight for the hallway, even though classes were technically still in session. The teacher was too focused on taking care of the students that had collapsed to pay those who left any attention. All the students that had run away were screaming in terror. None of them seemed to register what was in Yua's mind. Her phone had been vibrating in her skirt pocket for a while now. Once she finally realized that, Yua slowly reached for it. She attempted to stand up, but was unable to keep steady and fell from her chair. Staying low to the ground, she leaned against the wall. After she put her glasses back in place, Yua pressed the accept call button in the phone and held it to her ear.
Hi.
Why would you answer your phone? That's such a bad move.
Hi. はあ。はい一応大丈夫です。
As she answered the questions, Yua grimaced and pressed her on her forehead. She could hear the clamor of her classmates in the hallway, as well as the voices of her teachers trying to help the unconscious students, but it all sounded so terribly distant.
はいあなたは、はい、そうですか。それで、
Suddenly, Yua went pale. With a gulp, she covered her phone with her hand and brought her voice low. Her voice had clearly been shaking.
そんなわけないんです。
Is it Shogun?
だって、本当は。
Upon saying that much, Yua's voice began to falter. She hung her head. She's actually crying. Like, I bet you it's Shogun.
本当は、私、だったのに。
It was you. What? The commotion in the hallway intensified. Everyone was looking and pointing in the same direction, anxious expressions on their faces. The windows in the hallway rattled as if they were being hit by a fierce gale.
はい。
What is happening?
そうです。私の妹です。はい。わかりました。
Your sister. At last, Yua bowed her head as if the person she was speaking to was in front of her, then hung up the phone. Then she looked up and directed her gaze towards where everyone was pointing, beyond the window.
空が。
It was as if a seal of white paint had coated the surface of a grand lake. The sky, which had previously been filled only by a light blue color, was turning white. The white was spreading at an impossible speed. It bled rapidly across the sky, eroding each and every speck of blue it could find.
白く染まっていく。
It's like vaporizing something in the air. Chapter 5, Delusion. Chapter 6, Noah. Oh, ugh, chills. Okay, we're gonna end here, because that was a lot. And it's the end of a chapter, beginning of a new one. I've been going for a while, and my voice is getting pretty shot, so we're going to end it here. All right. So no questions answered. Just more questions. That was insane. So a sound came from the cell phone that, like, knocked us to the ground, probably out cold. It seems like something similar happened to a lot of other students at the school, probably at the same time. Yua got news about something terrible having happened, that she might have been involved and that her sister was involved in somehow, which is odd. And then it was something that upset her. And then the sky starts to turn white. And like I said, white could be like the formation of clouds, which can happen if like a bunch of air particles were suddenly charged or excited and they formed clouds. Like, that could happen. So we'll have to see if there's any like explanation, but it's like, what is happening? Goodness, it's freaking crazy. Yeah, so guess we're going to have to figure out what's going to happen now, and what this all means, or at least some idea. But I guess we'll get to it when we get to it. Thank you so much for being here. Hope you enjoyed yourselves. Hope you have a good week. I hope I had a good one. We'll find out. If you see a post from me in the near future saying that we might have to delay some more videos, my voice didn't come back and recover from this, but hey, it is what it is. I'll keep moving forward as best I can, and we'll see what we can do. Thank you all so much for being here today. Thank you so much for being a part of the channel, for being able to share this wonderful journey with me, and I hope that you continue coming back for more in the weeks to come. But until then, thank you so much. And for being here, it means the world to me, especially the patrons and members. You guys are supporting me directly when I'm such a small chat creator and like, you know, my prospects aren't like amazing. I'm just doing the best I can, but thank you so much. I appreciate your support, and I hope I can be worthy of it moving forward. But know that even if you can't support me directly ever or in the future, like that's perfectly fine. I just am grateful for those who asked and wanted to support me, who have been following through and doing so, because that's amazing. I don't deserve you. Thank you. And for now, let's take a break. Hope you have a great weekend. And until the next video you watch with me or happen to see me in next, I'll see you there.